In a day and age where information is spread in a nanosecond,
we are setting out to discover the uniqueness of our guests through the lost art of conversation,
140-degree temperatures, and robes.
This episode of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff is sponsored by JNH Lifestyles.
Take advantage of one of their home infrared saunas and experience the many benefits that thousands of people across the United States are praising.
Regular sessions in an infrared sauna will aid you in almost all areas of your life.
Start your joyful, natural, and healthy lifestyle today with JNH Lifestyles.
This week, we lawyer up with actor Patrick Fabian, who plays Howard Hamlin on AMC's Better Call Saul.
With over 139 acting credits to his name, we find out how he's managed to survive being a Hollywood actor for so long and what keeps him grounded.
I'm Dex.
And I'm Stevo. And this is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. How many TV shows have you been a part of?
Well, every time I see somebody, they remind me, they're like, boy, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
I guess so. And then they start naming things. And the weird thing is, like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Like, I really do remember it like yesterday. And they're like, oh, you did 90210. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did. I remember we played footsie under the table. That was part of the scene. And, oh, you did, Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And then I realized that's probably 1992 or 91. Man. So that's like almost a quarter of a century ago, which means I've been hacking it out for that long. Which means basically, if I have that many credits, it means I'll do anything.
Yeah, right. So you
clearly
you don't necessarily get annoyed when people ask you like, "Oh my gosh, back 20 years ago, you were doing Saved by the Bell." Because a lot of actors, I've had it personally happen to me where you bring something up from like SNL, 20 years ago, and I've had actors go, "Dude, that was 20 years ago. I don't know."
It's like, I'm much more broken and desperate than those people. So, I don't know what it's like to be secure in yourself and say something like that. I'm like, no, you do know me. You know me. Remember the episode in CSI where there's a bad guy in a suit? Yeah. No, it's funny. I like, I would, as I started to do like roles where people, you're in their living room. Most of my stuff's in TV. Yeah. So you're in their living room and my voice, and it becomes cumulative. So I'd be talking in an airplane or walking through an airport, and people would be like, hey.
Yeah.
Did I go to school with you? Do I know you?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no. And then you kind of feel a little bit like a dick, right? Because you're like, no, I'm an actor.
No, you know me.
And then they go, oh, great. Yeah. And they say, what do I know you from? Then you feel a little stupid because you're like, now I have to give you my resume. But you're like, you sort of terminate them, like age, what they might have seen.
What's the longest you've stood with somebody going,
about 10 minutes.
Really?
St. Louis Airport. I was like, maybe you know me from Friends. Nope, that's not it. And now we're in that game. Now we're in the game of me going down my resume.
That's amazing.
Until I hit something that they go, yeah, that was it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy who did it, he goes, that was it. And then he turned away. I was like... And it really was one of those moments. I'm standing there in the St. Louis Airport, and I was just like, okay. Yeah. You signed up for this.
Yeah.
And now it's swung a little bit more with people go like, you're Howard Hamlin.
Yeah.
Or they'll just walk past me and they'll go, get off Kim Wexler's back.
Oh, wow.
Keep walking.
So is this, looking at it and looking at your resume.
Hey, first of all, can I say, when you said you were going to interview me in a sauna, I know what a sauna is, obviously.
Right.
But all of a sudden, the thought crossed my head, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah, we're going to be sweating. I'm already starting. See, this is why you have to get the whole get-up. It's all about the detoxification. Yeah. It's about, getting all of this out. All the garbage that you're dealing with right now.
Wait till he breaks the weed out. It gets weird in
fantastic.
Here. It gets weird in here.
That was a surprise, by the way.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
You mean those gummies I was eating?
Yes. It's don't sweat the small stuff because it's like, we're going to skip all the little things. We want to go deep. Did we just take
the show next level? We just took the show next level.
Colors.
Yes. You'll start smelling colors. It's going to be great. So, okay. People approach you obviously all the time.
Yeah.
And your resume is
a lot.
Name 5 off the top of your head from, what are your go-tos for yourself personally?
Oh, for myself personally?
Yeah. When it's I think I know you.
I think I know.
Where do you go?
Better Call Saul, I sort of discount because people usually just know that.
Oh, yeah.
Nurse Dan from Friends, when Phoebe gave birth to the triplets.
Yeah.
And literally, I think I have maybe 4 lines, but that just goes to show you how many people watch
Yeah?
Friends
Whoa.
and how
Yeah?
often they
You
watch
still
it.
getting that royalty
Netflix
check?
just
Right?
paid-
You know, I
Yeah.
think it's coffee royalty.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll take free coffee from Friends any day.
Yeah, dude. What they just Netflix to renew it for this year?
Right.
$100 million.
$100 million.
$100
For 1 year.
million.
Who gets? Which tells you
Yeah, how much do you get?
none of that.
Yeah, none of that.
I get none of that.
None of that money.
That's insane.
Although I came home, my wife and I were out for a date. We came home and our babysitter was sitting there, and she was watching Friends.
No way.
Yeah, and I was like, what are you watching Friends for? She's like 16, 17 years
Yeah.
old, and she goes, I don't know, I just, they're funny. And I thought about it, and I thought, in this day and age where everything is 24/7, and a lot of it is very corrosive. I mean, like social media platforms really are just conduits for the corrosiveness and the worst that people can put out there.
Yeah, man.
And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, oh, let me see the next worst thing, and let me get into the comment section so I can decide who I agree with, and maybe God forbid, how about I join in on the corrosiveness?
Yeah, right.
So then I become a part of it. If you're a teenager, these days, all of those channels have been open to you since you became sort of aware.
Yeah.
And what is Friends if not an inoculation to all of that? It's not political. It's not even musical.
Yeah.
It's about 6 guys and girls getting together and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And even though they get mad at one another, and maybe somebody even tells a lie every now and then, in the end, they are friends. It's really a testimony to leading with your heart, being there with one another.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if they don't even, my babysitter doesn't even know it. She is seeking out something that is good in the world, something that is safe in the world.
Damn, dude, you just like
That was awesome.
I dropped it down. Well,
you're like,
I'm
I really want
120
people to know this
degrees
is
right
the best. Yeah.
So,
Well, with Friends, it's like when I watched Friends, for me personally, it wasn't that I could relate to them. It was I desired to have that. It was like you see these friends and how close they are, and it's like, gosh,
I want
man,
that.
I really want that.
What's
Yeah.
interesting though is now, so this happened then, and in our culture now, you're talking about social media. I think everybody wants that, which is why we have social media, and everybody wants to be connected. But I think it's removing the connectivity.
well, because that kind of connectivity, the one we're talking about, the Friends, that requires
They lived
work.
together. They went to the coffee shop together
It
every day.
requires
They were,
being in the presence of somebody whose emotionality may make you uncomfortable,
Right.
or somebody you can take social cues off of. Oh, they're saying one thing, but my friend is sad. How can I help? Or they're really elated and I'm jealous. What am I going to do with that? But when you're removed and you're just sitting there clicking away, it's so easy to deaden your emotional responses. I mean that. You know, that it becomes a callousness.
Yeah.
And it removes you from being present on the planet, being present in your own skin, and it makes you, I think, devalue what really is the most valuable thing out there, which is not my iPhone X.
The reason why I really wanted you in this sauna with me today is because I'm an Uber driver.
No, this is real.
And-
This is actually real. This
Yes,
is real.
I am. I'm a part-time
On the
Uber
side,
driver.
this is what he does.
And,
I got this mental midlife crisis breakdown.
So when I found out,
No
I saw
joke.
the trailer of Driver X.
Uh-huh.
I was freaking out because I was like, "This is my life! Like, this is you guys nailed it." I haven't seen the movie yet, but I mean, just from the trailer, I'm just going, "Holy cow, man!" Like, being an Uber driver and a Lyft driver is probably one of the funnest jobs I've ever had because you never know who you're going to pick up.
Right.
You just never know. Did you go out there before you actually did the role in this movie? Did you go out and become
no,
one?
and the answer is because the in the movie, my character decides to do it, and he's never done it before.
Okay.
So,
Good call.
But the writer director, this is his story.
Yeah.
So this is very much
No
what
way.
he had to. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Henry Barriel's the writer director of it. He had his first film immediately go to Sundance like 15 years ago, and so he was like, "Oh, I guess I'll be directing Marvel comic book movies in a second." The world doesn't work like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So anybody who does freelance in the world, which is kind of all of us now, but freelance artists have always sort of been, what's my next gig? And at some point you're like, oh, what's my next gig? And how am I paying my mortgages?
Right.
So he ran into that. 2 kids, a wife, and a mortgage, and
Yeah.
nothing coming in. So you're in between projects, so he started driving Uber.
Yeah.
And he said exactly the same thing. The reason the trailer sings to you is because he's lived it.
He lived it.
And a lot of the lines that we have, and almost all the experiences that my character goes through, Leonard, are things that he went through. And some of the lines that the passengers deliver are directly lifted from the rides.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he struggled with that. What am I doing?
Yeah.
This is odd. He talks a lot about the idea of like what's really odd is that he got the job without talking to anybody. An online background check. A text says you're ready to drive.
It's so
and
easy.
he thought this is really weird.
Yeah.
And then here's the other thought he thought it was driverless cars are the future. And we're sitting here going, part of us are going like, that's not going to happen. I'll never let anybody drive. But I was never going to have a computer like that in my pocket either.
Right.
And that was only 15 years ago.
Exactly.
So in 30 or 40 years, for whatever components are going on, saving of fuel, whatever, driverless cars will probably become the norm. In which case, the idea of getting in a car where somebody like yourself actually drives it will seem crazy.
Yeah.
So what he's made is almost a timepiece. It's almost a period piece of saying, this is what we were doing at a certain point in our comedy. And also, it's not like 19-year-olds are driving.
Right.
Everyone who's driving is like between the ages of 30 and 50 and over.
And they have stories. I've never gotten in an Uber or a Lyft and not had some crazy story from my driver.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a human being. Like, as we're talking about social media and that losing that connection, it's weird because growing up it was like, don't ever get in a car with a stranger. And now it's like, you're getting in a car with a stranger, but you're actually having a conversation with this human being who probably has a few kids, or maybe they got laid off.
What's my dad doing driving a car in the front seat? And I'm curious, I'm like, so what got you doing this? And people love to tell you what's going on, right? Just
I was going to say, this is the thing, this is what I love about the job.
I'm sorry. It's really hot in the sauna.
It's really hot, right?
And it's getting hotter. It's not even
I may not be drenched, but in my brain, I'm like a cartoon.
You got water, you got,
I'm making gravy in this area down here right now.
Oh my God.
Moist and horrible, but continue.
This is all Dex's horrible idea. If we die,
great idea.
You signed the waiver, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
The one thing I do love about it is when somebody gets in my car, for some reason, it's like they feel like they can just share their life with me.
Right.
You know? And I don't know if it's just like we break the ice somehow, and maybe it's that moment where that person gets in the car and they're just going through hell in their life and they feel like, I'll probably never see this guy again. I'm just going to puke on this guy.
Yeah.
But it's a moment where I get to like try and either encourage somebody, just allow them to just talk,
Vent.
Love on them for a second, inspire them. But gosh, man, I'm sitting here thinking of all the different people that have gotten in my car, and I'm just like, gosh, people are, there's a lot of broken people out there.
A lot of broken people, yeah. And a lot of people say, they're like, well, how can you relate to that? Because you live in Southern California.
This is really what I wanted to ask you. Seriously,
you get to be on TV, and you must have piles of money that touch the sky. and that's just not the case.
Right.
I'm a freelance artist. I go check to check, job to job. I'm on Better Call Saul now, which is great.
Yeah.
But it hasn't solved all my problems.
Right.
And before that, I was staring at the ceiling of a house, my first house that I ever thought I'd go ahead and commit to buying.
Yeah.
And looking at it, and my children are sleeping down the hall, and I'm thinking about college funds for them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how to pay the mortgage because the phone's not ringing because I'm on the wrong side of 50. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh no, all of those stories you heard are true.
Yeah.
And just because you were Professor Lasky doesn't mean you're immune to it.
Yeah.
So when Henry Burial came to me with this story about what do you do when you get scared about the second act and you start to feel forgotten?
Yeah.
It's the whole I go into Starbucks and all the girls call me sir, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Or I'm in Ralph's or Trader Joe's, right?
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm buying milk. I got 2 kids. It's time to go and get those little things before dinner.
Right.
And they're playing like Def Leppard or Bon Jovi.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. And then I look to my right and my left. And I'm like, what are these old guys rocking out for? And I'm like, oh no, I'm the old guy. Oh no.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel you, man. You hear like the classic rock station, and all of a sudden you're hearing like No Doubt and Green Day, and you're going,
How's
this
Green
is
Day?
the classic rock station.
Yeah.
I remember when this hit the first time,
Right.
and so it's interesting though, and that's what I want to talk about, this act of your life, where you're at right now, because you are a husband, you are a father, and I think as humans we can all relate to this feeling of I don't even want to call it like an insecurity, but we're in this weird culture where the young generation is so disconnected, and the older generation, we're kind of remembering what it was like, but it's not really like that anymore.
I'm on a hit show.
Yeah.
I have a movie opening right now.
Which is amazing.
You know, I get to celebrate a birthday, and so I'm not dead. That's good.
Yeah.
And that sounds like, oh, yeah, so, you know, oh, you get to have food, and the starving kids in China don't.
Right.
But there is a degree that, you know, I wake up every day and I hit my knees because I'm thankful that I'm alive. And I hit my knees every night before I go to bed because I got to survive the day.
Yeah.
And it is survive. And it's not all... I know it seems like it, but it's not all volleyball and premieres in Los Angeles.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety involved that we all contain. But, you know, I'm on a hit show, but I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm on a hit show, but I don't have enough money that I can solve all my problems. Not that money solves it anyways.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Money doesn't solve it. You
But
know?
we think it does when we don't have it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's somebody out there who's just like, oh, easy for you to say.
Right.
But it doesn't because taking care of your kid who got bullied at school is not a monetary solution.
Dude.
Figuring out that maybe you haven't been listening to your wife and you guys feel disconnected and you allow your mind to start traveling in those areas of like, how could have my life been different? Is getting further away from being married, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a money solution.
Yeah.
I can't pay the writing staff on Better Call Saul enough money to say, please don't kill me.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
right? Yeah, exactly. Gosh.
Yeah, that's another question. Looking at your character on Better Call Saul, because obviously this is a prequel, so it's like at some point, where's it going to go? Into Breaking Bad, and I'm pretty sure I don't remember Howard Hamlin in Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
So-
he's
Oh,
dead.
no, Howard's
No,
totally
he's
in
dead.
Breaking Bad.
No,
No. He's like in
we
every
just-
season. He's like in the background.
I don't know.
He's like driving a boat.
If you're watching,
and-
Vince,
Yeah.
he's in the deleted scenes. You just didn't see those.
Yeah.
Trust me, he's
Yeah.
there.
Saul
he's there,
hated you, so he just wanted you gone.
I don't know what the ending is. The good news is that these writers are so good,
They
and
are.
they've been driving a car like this,
Yeah.
linking up to Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And just because I am not physically in Breaking Bad, I doesn't mean I have some sort of awful demise. It might just be as life happens, because these writers, you know, they write extraordinary things, but they're always grounded in realness, which I think is why people are attracted. So in real life, you know, you start to move your focus of your life somewhere else, and the people who are occupying it fade away. So maybe I fade away. Maybe I go out in a blaze of glory, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Or I keep pitching this.
Yeah.
Kim Wexler and Howard Hamlin find themselves in the Caribbean. And
Yes.
they do pro bono work sailing ships. So it's a Discovery Channel. It could be like an ACLU thing. We can go do lawyering and stuff like that. But no matter what, it's blue skies, blue water, and bikinis. So that's an idea. I don't know. Maybe that.
Yeah. Well, they're doing Breaking Bad. They're filming a Breaking Bad movie.
I heard.
Right.
And I was reading some comments and stuff, and of course a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's a cash grab," and I'm sitting there going, "I don't think so, man. I think it's Breaking Bad was such a huge success. Even Better Call Saul. I mean, this people love it, and for fans, we're like, dude, we want more. Give us more. What happened to Jesse when he left? You know what? Give us more." And to me,
What
I
happened
never
to
looked
Howard
at it.
when he hit the Caribbean
Yes.
and with
Yes. Exactly.
Did he use the proper
with him,
sunscreen or
man?
not?
Yes.
We
You know?
need to know this.
Yeah. Do you what do you think about that? You think cash grab, or you think why do you think they're doing this?
Say cash grab, please.
Cash grab?
Because that's what he's looking for.
Total
What an
cash
idiot
grab,
question.
Right. Because the thing Vince Gilligan needs is money, I would imagine. No.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
here's
This is for all the haters out there, the trolls out there.
Yeah,
They call
yeah,
it
yeah.
cash grab.
Here's the thing.
Oh, that's going to end trolling. I'm so glad you're doing
Thank
it.
you,
Oh, you're
man.
ending
Thank you.
trolling
He's
today?
ending trolling.
High five on that.
Yeah,
Way to
yeah.
go, man. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Just do it again. We'll pretend.
I can
Hey,
never.
hashtag you ended trolling. Yay.
See, I'm terrible at it, guys, and I'm
Sad.
sweating.
Metaphor, it'll never end.
Hashtag
It'll never
in trolling.
end.
In trolls.
Now, here's the thing. Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, and the Brain Trust from Breaking Bad had all that success, more success than you could possibly imagine. They put AMC on the map, a clutch of awards and success. Popular success and critical success.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They took all those chips and they shoved them right back in the middle of the table, and they said, here's this thing called Better Call Saul. They could have done anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
And they chose that, which shows me that they felt confident in what they were going to do, or if they didn't feel confident in the exact thing of what it was going to become, they felt that there was still a story to be told, and they are storytellers.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, this has become critically acclaimed and also popular. And so I am certainly not going to sit here and say it's a cash grab.
Well, not even a cash grab, but
you
it's
know,
like, are they not like, hey guys, like, seriously, let it go, man. Like is there
this
a time?
question?
No. Think about this. Like,
I've been thinking that for 3 minutes.
No. Think about this for a second, because a lot of times you'll have this hit show, and all of a sudden it'll be like like it's done and it's never again. And then maybe 10 years, 15 years down the road, all of a sudden they're thinking about, and maybe they bring something
Bill
back.
and Ted 3. If you're trying to burn down Bill and Ted 3, I'll fight you to the death.
Yeah, so is this a situation where it's like, they're just not ready to let it go, and it's like, maybe they should just let this go, man. Walter White's dead.
No.
Okay.
I can't disagree with you.
I
think Better Call Saul, personally speaking, is a better show. I do. I really do.
I appreciate that. There's some people hold that opinion.
But I really do. I really do. It's because, for whatever reason, I mean, you saw what came of a man who started making bad decisions and then became this person that you just. And I'm glad we saw that end. I hate it when you see this anti-hero who just kind of sailed, like you said, goes off into the Caribbean. If we had seen that from Walter White, it would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah, but I don't think he's dead either.
I like the humanity, kind of like with Driver X, this project. It's the I want to see what got Mike to where he was at. I want to see how Jimmy McGill became Saul Goodman and because all of us as human beings are in this story. And like you said, just because this person's not in front of you anymore, that person still has their own story.
Yeah.
But again, in our culture, social media, out of sight, out of mind, what you see on the internet, this Instagram personality, whatever it is, that's all we get. And when they're not there, we forget that they're still breathing oxygen and that something could be going on. Maybe it's a crisis at home, like maybe it's a marital thing, maybe it's something with the kids, maybe it's a job thing, and everyone has those, and we forget about it because we don't care. And I love to see how a human being got to a place where he became this person.
To go back to the what happened to Jesse, I do believe that they wouldn't even have considered that, one, if they didn't feel that they had a story they wanted to complete. But more importantly also, let's just talk business. The internet and the fan base is, I mean, if I get asked how many times, when's Walter and Jesse coming back to Better Call Saul? I mean,
you need a tip jar.
They want them together.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. If you give me money.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think there's a hunger for it, and I think in the hands of these guys, I think it's going to be great. They have a chance to go ahead and do something very unusual in television. And that's have a complete story that started here and then go back and tell here. We're already with Gene in Omaha, and then there's that other part that what happened after Breaking Bad, and when the totality of it is done. I mean, what an it's if you have a chance to paint that, don't you take that chance?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm all about it.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure. Before we go, we definitely need you to start our theme song.
He's got golden pipes, so obviously clearly you're a fan of the show, so you know the outro we always sing.
Yeah. Oh, sure, absolutely.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Sure.
You start. We always have the guest start.
Sure, absolutely. Don't sweat the small stuff, because the big stuff is going to roll you over. Don't sweat the small stuff, and go to the Humane Society and get yourself a dog and name him Rover.
Please spay and neuter your pets.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for watching DSTSS.
What?
What's that stand for?
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Make sure you guys subscribe and check out all of the other sweet videos that we put together for you guys every week. They're pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, they are pretty good. Yeah. Also, big shout out to JNH Lifestyles for this sweet sauna. And if you'd like to get your own sauna, click the link. You're going to get a discount code for anything you purchase from them.
Just put in DSTSS. That's DSTSS.
Don't sweat the small stuff. That's right. And speaking of don't sweat the small stuff, if you're jonesing for more, here's a sneak peek at next week's episode.
We're like chilling in the kitchen, talking about where we're going to go for my birthday. And then all of a sudden we hear like pop, pop, pop.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was 6, so I didn't know what those noises were. I just was like, oh, there's a noise. Let me run to it, because I was curious. Mm-hmm. And I remember running towards the noise and opening the door. And my aunt was sitting on her bed just kind of with her knees up and just frozen still, and her boyfriend laid out on the floor with a gun, and just eyes rolled back in the back of his head. And this is probably the first time I've ever talked about this publicly.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and just blood, like a pool of blood just kind of coming from the back of his head.